Hello everyone, welcome back to Morgan Hasn't Seen. I kind of forget how to do the singing sometimes at the start of these episodes. It's most concerning, but it's another episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen, which is never concerning. Hi Jeannine, we're back. Yay.
Hello Morgan. Yay.
It's kind of come to an end though.
Yes, we are kind of finishing the original 8 Fast and Furious movies before our bonus episode on Hobbs and Shaw. I know you're super excited about that one.
I mean, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Sure. You know, I was forced to watch a trailer for Hobbs and Shaw after I had watched Furious 7 and The Fate of the Furious, which are the two movies we are talking about today to, like Jeannine said, wrap up the Fast and Furious main series, obviously with the bonus that will be next week, talking about Hobbs and Shaw. Hobbs and Shaw's trailer is, well, yeah, it is what it is, Jeannine. It's
There's a lot going on.
there's a hell of a lot going on, and I mean, it looks fun, sure. It doesn't really look like a Fast and Furious movie, but you know. I mean,
you got some Hobbs and Shaw action in 8. You got some ridiculous action in 8. So I mean,
yeah.
that doesn't feel like it's kind of fitting right after The Fate of the Furious.
It definitely feels like 8 more than any other Fast and Furious.
Any other movie.
But as we'll get on to, I feel like the 8 or The Fate of the Furious is the least Fast and Furious movie. And there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the 8th. There's less weird stuff going on in 7. And we might as well get straight into it, Jeannine.
Okay.
Might as well
Let's do it.
Get straight into it. So here we are. Morgan Hasn't Seen another stupid episode talking Fast and the Furious. Furious 7, Jeannine. This movie is still maybe in the top 10 grossing movies all time.
It is. I think a lot of it had to do with the Paul Walker passing, and they knew there was going to be people wanted to see how they were going to like work that into the story. So I feel like that's a big reason why it did as well as it did.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because it was already...
People wanted to honor him, people wanted to support him, and people wanted to also see how his death was going to be worked around in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, right off the bat, the ending is kind of very surprisingly moving.
It is, and it was very well done. Very emotional and handled very well.
I really think it was. I do feel like it would have played a lot more emotionally for me had I seen this movie when it had happened, rather than now.
Especially since at this point that song was everywhere, and I'm sure it got very played out to you before you even heard it. So hearing it here, you don't feel what you felt in first hearing the song really and first seeing that moment, because you just heard this song over and over thrown at you all over the place, and then it just kind of was like, this song again.
Yeah, I mean, I truly hate the song. There's no getting around it.
I have to send you that clip of Vin Diesel singing it.
Oh, no, please, no.
I mean,
that might even sound better.
Here. It's what we do here. I send you things that you may not be too happy to see or hear, and you do it because I say so.
Well, that is true. And actually, the song might end up being better being sung by Vin Diesel, because at least Vin Diesel doesn't have that really annoying voice that whoever sings the song has.
I think he was like accepting an award like at the MTV Movie Awards or something for this movie, And when he got up there to say his speech, he started like singing the song and like talking about Paul and yeah.
See, I like
So
that.
yeah, he sang like the first like verse of it.
Well, I like that. That's fine. What I don't like is the I don't know. There's something about it's really any singer with that kind of voice that's just like, okay, this is getting a little bit too high pitched and smooth for me right now. And I don't know.
But aside
know
from
what
that,
it is. There seems to be a lot of that sort of stuff
but
happening.
aside from that, you did feel some emotion from that moment.
Absolutely, and that was mainly due to just like what was going on, the visuals. I like the visual of the cars going along the separate roads and then forking off.
And he has the white car, like an angel car, like he's driving to heaven, and like you see kind of the light kind of shine at that end of the road that he's going to.
Yeah. And I mean, sure, I've seen parts of this scene before, in somewhat stuff, you know. I believe is it Paul Walker's brother that's done the sort of face mapping, whatever it is.
I think both of his brothers did like the face mapping stuff to finish some of his scenes, but he actually had done quite a bit of it before everything had happened. So I think it's mostly like the finale stuff.
Yeah. So
yeah,
obviously the whole thing, and we'll get into the rest of the movie. I kind of did want to start on the ending, which is weird, but still, obviously I've seen the whole him just looking at Vin Diesel and giving that smile, and everybody around me going, yeah, it's what, and I'm just like, I don't know.
I don't know what's happening here. But yes, now you know why everyone was there, guy.
Yeah.
Now you understand.
And now I know, and yeah, it's very nice. It was very nice. The song fits well. I just hate the song. I think what the song's saying is great. I just hate the singing.
So if you hadn't heard the song and the song wasn't super played out to you before seeing it, do you think it would have been better? Or
I'd still hate the way it's sung.
Okay.
I just hate that vocal. I hate it. I can't.
Well, then you'll like Vin Diesel's growl singing.
Exactly what I'm saying. I would rather have that. There are certain, like, people can have, like, soft, slightly higher pitched voices perfectly fine. You just gotta make it fit with the song. It's just so grating. I'm sorry, I don't want to get too caught up on that song, because I actually really enjoyed the rest of the movie as well. I mean, I don't think I enjoyed Furious 7. I don't think I enjoyed the rest of Furious 7 as much as I did the ending, purely for the emotion.
Okay.
But the rest of
this one starts to kind of straddle the line between where they were and where they're going.
Yeah.
Like, it straddles that line of what the last few movies were doing to where 8 kind of just goes full crazy. So it kind of is straddling that line.
I mean, it for sure feels different, because obviously it's James Wan's coming to direct it. So already it doesn't really feel exactly like all the others, or a lot of the others, because they've been Justin Lin from 3 till 6.
So we get some bigger set pieces and more characters.
More characters, but also less characters in the team.
Yes.
Because it's not...
New characters, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I guess. The original team... I mean, not the original team, because I suppose that's from the first one. But the original big team, the original big team from 5, isn't all there anymore, because obviously Han is dead now, as we see at the end of 6. Or Tokyo Drift, or whatever you want to say. Gal Gadot's gone. And then...
Bye, Giselle.
Yeah. And like, I mean, Mia seems to have less and less to do as her story goes on.
Must be those teeth.
Me with the song at the end of this movie is like you with Jordana Brewster's teeth. You just can't get over it.
Why did she change her teeth? Why? Her teeth were perfectly fine.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I'm sorry, I digress.
You know,
ridiculous territory.
You know, I don't have a problem with her teeth necessarily.
But I mean, you see what I'm talking about, though. Can you see it in some scenes?
Not really.
Wow.
I just think this is you.
Make me look crazy now.
No,
it's not me. Look at her teeth. You weren't looking.
Okay, Jeannine. I'll hate the song. You can hate the teeth. Let's just agree.
Fine.
There.
Fine. So, did you think elements of the plot were kind of a little bit convoluted? Like, so you already had Statham who's chasing them to get revenge for his brother, but then there's also like this criminal organization that they're chasing in order to get access to Jason Statham. Like, it's all very...
Yes, to a point, it is convoluted. There's kind of... But I'm almost used to that, because that almost, in a way, feels like what was going on in 5, right? Because they had... they were after Reyes... And then
The Rock was after them.
Yeah, Hobbs was after them, but also after Reyes. So it was all kind of like that. So it's kind of similar in that way. Maybe flipped.
But it's like they were after Jason Statham to get revenge for Han. But it's like everywhere they were, Jason Statham was already there. So it's not like they needed to find him because he was already looking for them and to mess them up and get revenge for what they did to his brother. So it's like, why did they need to go through all this trouble to work with Kurt Russell to find Jaimin Hansu and his people so that they could get this device to find Jason Statham? But Jason Statham was like following them around everywhere anyway, right? Am I like missing something? Does that?
No, and now that you've explained it, it sounds slightly silly.
Yeah, like he just showed up everywhere they were, but yet they needed to get this God's Eye device invented by Ramsey.
Speaking of
Natalie
Ramsey.
Emmanuel.
Yes, I have been waiting for this the whole series. Natalie Emmanuel has finally turned up. Yay.
Did you like her character?
Yeah. It's a very Natalie Emmanuel type character, even though she's doing what kind of annoys me sometimes with British actors doing stuff is she overpronounces words to make herself because she's clearly been told to, but it's as though like, oh, the worldwide audience isn't going to understand a slightly accented British accent, so make sure all the T's are pronounced every single time, and it's annoying. So she does that a little bit, and she doesn't do that in other things I've seen her in, especially like Game of Thrones. She doesn't overpronounce stuff, even though she plays a goddamn translator. She doesn't overpronounce stuff, so that was a little weird. But everybody knows I like Natalie Emmanuel, so I was just excited to see in this. And yeah, I like the fact that she was the creator of the God's Eye.
Yeah. And you weren't a fan of that gratuitous bikini scene. I mean, you weren't a fan of that at all.
I have mixed feelings.
I mean, was it necessary?
Exactly. Was it necessary? No. Do I enjoy it? Sure. But was it necessary? I don't like big whole gratuitous stuff.
Slow mo.
Oh, look how pretty this
water.
person is. I don't.
Like, I already thought that.
We don't need that. It was so blatantly, and it was just, I guess, fine. Look, I'm not going to say it wasn't nice. Sure, that was probably what they were going for. But, you know, I mean, it's just, it's, maybe it's me being me, but stuff like that can make me uncomfortable. But maybe
You're a
that's
sensitive soul.
maybe that's just me being like, I don't know.
Such a gentleman.
Maybe I'm prudish, Jeannine. I don't know.
Maybe you are, Morgan.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. But there was that. But I much preferred her schooling everybody about the God's Eye.
Yes.
And the fact that she herself invented this big surveillance thing, that if something like that existed, and it probably does somewhere that nobody knows about, that's terrifying.
So is it kind of like similar to the thing in The Dark Knight?
Yeah, at the end of the day, a little bit, I guess. But also that's just Gotham. This is the world.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more intense. So well done, Natalie Emmanuel, for being so inventive and smart and hackery. Yay. But yeah, I mean, first time we meet her, she's been essentially kidnapped by Jaimin Hansu. And
because of the God's Eye.
Because
they want the God's Eye for whatever.
I mean, I didn't really get what their whole deal was, to be perfectly honest with you. They just seemed to exist, and I mean,
for the purposes of, I don't know,
yeah.
I guess so that they could bring in Kurt Russell, who ends up recruiting them because they need the God's Eye, because they know what he can do with it. So they recruit the team to get the God's Eye from Jaimin Hansu and stop him. And the deal is, if they get the God's Eye for him, he will let them use the God's Eye to find Jason Statham, Deckard Shaw, and then they give it back to him. So, but yeah, I just don't see the point of all of that when Deckard Shaw was already just following them around everywhere anyway, essentially.
You're making a lot of sense when you're saying
the
this
whole
stuff.
Big first set piece when they're falling out of the planes. Who shows up? Deckard Shaw. When they're in Abu Dhabi at the party, who shows up? Deckard Shaw. When they finally use the God's Eye to find him, he's like right there having a stake because he wanted them to find him right there. So it's like, what else are you getting out of this deal besides finding a person that is already finding you every single time you go somewhere? Like,
you're getting the company of Natalie Emmanuel out of the deal.
I suppose
that's what you're getting out of the deal.
Okay. So what did you think of that big first set piece with them falling out of the plane?
Stupid. It was ridiculous. It was, as you promised, the start of the stupid Fast and Furious stuff.
Yeah, I told you they would get, after that long runway scene, I was like, okay, just be prepared. The action is going to get even more ridiculous from here. So,
I mean, it was funny because Tyrese is
Roman didn't want to go. And then he's just like floating off. Like,
Roman's terrified. Yeah, and so that was funny. I think Roman's always funny. I like Roman. That's always good. But yeah, that was funny. But the whole, parachuting a car out of a plane, like multiple. No. Just that very reaction. Just, no. Is all
Morgan's
I can probably.
Not having it. Hashtag Morgan's not having it.
Yeah, let's start that one. But yeah, it's essentially just that reaction to that. But then I knew what I was getting into, and I knew that I probably wasn't going to feel I knew I probably wasn't going to enjoy Furious 7 and Fate of the Furious as much as I had the previous two, because the previous two still had some semblance of reality to them.
Okay.
Whereas these
these
kind of don't all, and it does tell you that. It doesn't cheat you. It tells you that right off the bat in 7 with that plane parachuting. So you're not tricked. So you know what you're getting into, and I could enjoy the rest of the movie, absolutely, did. Especially it got even more stupid when they got to Abu Dhabi and started jumping the cars through the buildings.
Well, I watched a physics thing, and some guy said that jumping through the buildings was actually plausible.
Well, it looked
the one thing
ridiculous.
about that wasn't plausible is that once they got through the window into the other building, them kind of like spinning around like that wouldn't have happened, because they would have literally just like probably crashed and like the tires would have blown out or something. They wouldn't have landed to be able to like
drive
turn
again.
the car. Yeah, exactly. So they said that was the part of that whole sequence that was unrealistic, but they could actually jump a car like that if it's a fast enough car.
Well, I guess who am I to argue with physics? But it also looked ridiculous. And frankly, the whole...
Did you get to see Vin Diesel pick up a car? Yeah.
Yeah. Frankly, the whole Abu Dhabi stuff was also a little bit ridiculous.
And Roman doing what he does best, making ridiculous distractions.
Oh, yeah.
And
Roman's always great.
Letty getting a intense fight with Ronda Rousey.
Oh, Ronda Rousey, of course. I almost forgot Ronda Rousey was in this movie because she's so awful.
Yeah, her acting was very bad.
Oh, God. Oh, God, save us all from Ronda Rousey's acting.
Of course, she did the action well, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. But this is where the Fast and Furious starts just getting, I know who a big name celebrity is in the world right now. Get them in the movie. Get them in the movie. That's what the Fast and Furious is doing at this point. Kind of started in 7, because I can't. Did this happen before? Apart from the actual main members of the team,
Well, they had Gina Carano on
Well, yeah. 6. Well, also she's not kind of as big as Rhonda.
Well, hey, she got her own like spy movie with like Michael Fassbender and like all these famous people. It was terrible, and her acting was terrible. But she can't carry a film by herself. But yeah,
Gina Carano, I think, was a lot better than Ronda Rousey.
Well, watch Haywire and then come back and talk to me.
I will probably not be doing that. Unless we do it for this show, which I don't think we will, because you don't like the movie.
It has Ewan McGregor, Michael Fassbender, Channing Tatum, Michael Douglas, Antonio Banderas. Like, what in the ever-loving fuck? But, yeah. Bill Paxton, like... It's had some big names in it, and yeah, the action was good, but she was not a good actress.
Well,
so yeah, maybe if we do a month on terrible spy films,
I would not like to do a month on terrible spy films.
We'll
Thank
watch
you,
Red
Jeannine.
Sparrow and Atomic Blonde, which the action in Atomic Blonde was good, but it was very boring. And the Haywire, and maybe all those straight to video like Bruce Willis movies.
Oh, please, for the love of God, no. Are you trying to kill me?
Well, behave yourself, and I will never do that to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Admit to me that Jordana Brewster's teeth are terrible, and I will never make you do that.
Her teeth are terrible. Yeah, I never have to do that again now.
Okay.
No, never have to.
No bad spy movies.
No bad spy movies. For me, yes. I have won the battle. I'm very thankful for that. But yeah.
But this movie, we get Kurt Russell.
We do get Kurt Russell.
The head of some secret government organization who recruits them, which I heard that they originally wanted Denzel Washington for this role, which I don't see Denzel Washington fitting in this universe in the slightest.
No, Denzel's way too legit and serious.
And Kurt Russell knows how to ham it up, and he knows how to make the most of even the silliest thing, and that's why everybody loves him. That's probably why he was Walt Disney's last written words.
I mean, is that why he was Walt Disney's last written words?
I'd like to think so.
Because he was able to ham it up in a Fast and Furious movie. Walt Disney just thought,
beloved.
I know what I'm going to do before I die. Kurt Russell. But yeah, I didn't even realise Kurt Russell was even in the movie. I didn't know he was in Fast and Furious at all. So that was a pleasant surprise because I always love Kurt Russell.
Yes, he's great.
And he is great as Mr. Nobody in this as well, who... like Jeannine said, adds a little more weirdness to the plot and confusion when it turns out that he is finding Djimon Hounsou's people and then does the deal with the God's Eye because of some reason or other. I mean, admittedly, it is a little complex and unnecessary.
Yeah. If Statham wasn't already finding them all the time, then it would be okay. He's eluding them, he's maybe sneaking in and they don't see him and he's manipulating things and then running off, then maybe that's one thing and they don't know where he is at any time. But he's making his himself known every time he appears, hello, I'm here, I'm Jason Statham, okay. So yeah, it's a little bit complex and nonsensical, but I love Kurt Russell and I like the attempt at an interesting plot and interesting villain things that were different than drug bosses and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I mean, really, Deckard Shaw is the villain completely.
Yes. And then you have the whole Djimon Hounsou team, but they're just very secondary.
Yeah, they don't really count.
Disposable.
They only count for the purpose of bringing Ramsey in. That's all they're there for.
And then you get them kind of that whole helicopter chase kind of thing, and they're throwing Ramsey from car to car, trying to hack into the God's Eye, and that whole thing. That's where they kind of come back. But, and then even I think I said when I was watching it, Djimon Hounsou, you don't really get much from him. It's he's a heel in the Schmodown. I'm going to wear a leather jacket and sunglasses so you know that I'm the bad guy. Okay.
It's a lovely slight dig at those heels in the Schmodown that think character means wearing a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah.
And you know what, Jeannine? No, it doesn't.
It does not.
It's me wearing a pair of sunglasses. Get some goddamn creativity.
Exactly.
That's all we've got to say on that front. I think, as far as Jason Statham is concerned, I've had a mixed feelings towards Jason Statham for my movie watching life. Simply because he's kind of annoying and he's got an annoying voice. And I don't really like him that much, but he's also a good actor.
But did you like him as Deckard Shaw?
I did. He's also a good actor when he wants to be.
And he does the action very well. He does, for being 50 something?
Yeah. He's in his early 50s. He does the action. He always does the action really well. And he is enjoyable as an actor. And I maybe even appreciated him in these movies more, because even though his voice annoys me, he wasn't doing what Natalie Emanuel's doing and overpronouncing everything. Which, as we all know, when we would talk about Game of Thrones on this show when season 8, oh God, I've mentioned season 8 of Game of Thrones, please don't kill me and shove me off the internet. That was always my problem with Alfie Allen in Game of Thrones, is that he overpronounced everything he said, even though he was a great actor.
Yeah.
And I just don't... but Statham doesn't do that because he's just using his Cockney accent. Yay.
And
but also
which
boo.
informs somebody else's not so natural Cockney accent.
It does.
In Fate of the Furious, which we will talk about later.
Yeah.
Well, soon in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But yes, did you like his introduction? I mean, we got a little taste of his introduction with the whole little Han scene at the end of 6, but you get this whole scene where he sees his brother in the hospital and he's giving this whole speech about his brother and what he's going to do to the people who hurt him and blah, blah, blah. And then you see he basically destroyed the whole damn hospital.
I thought it was a really effective introduction, actually. You got exactly who he is straight away from having him walk out of that hospital and it being destroyed.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
It was kind of really fun. And you don't get a lot of Hobbs in 7 either,
No.
because he kind of gets injured at the start.
So they have this whole scene of him like at work doing like stuff on his computer, and then you see that Elena's there. She's working with him, so that's kind of, and she, I guess, is maybe looking for another position because he writes her a reference. So they set all that up, and then here comes Shaw, and they have a big kind of fun action sequence and fight.
Hobbs and Shaw fighting all the time.
Exactly. So then you get your first little taste of Hobbs and Shaw right there, and their little banter back and forth.
And Jason Statham puts him in the hospital.
Yes, he throws a bomb and he falls out a window. And then I feel like, I don't know if this stuff was maybe changed into the story because of what happened with Paul, but then they start setting up Paul as like a new father and a family man and all of that stuff. And then we get to see the other side of that phone call of Deckard calling Vin and telling him about Han. And then you see that he blows up their house. And
yes.
Thus starts we need to find Deckard Shaw, even though he will find us every time we're just walking down the street.
Yeah, and the team's great again. Everybody does their own usual stuff, even though, like you said, they are kind of setting up Paul Walker, or Brian, as the dad, as the new family man, which makes sense that he then, in world, goes and retires at the end of the movie with Mia.
Because now it's show that Mia has another child on the way. That's what they set up kind of at the beginning. So he has more reason to want to get out of the life and just be with his family. And like they do a lot of the sequences, obviously, like that whole sequence where he has to like turn on the cell tower or whatever.
Yeah.
All that's kind of dim and dark so that they could use his brothers and all of that. How did you think all of that came across and looked? And
it's actually very well filmed. You couldn't tell that it... I personally couldn't tell that it wasn't ever Paul Walker. And some of the stuff was...
all of that was handled really well.
Yeah, some of the stuff was really well filmed, like you said, in shadows or just behind the back shots. And so it could have been anyone. But it was just really... It was well worked around, and they clearly obviously had a lot of love for Paul and what he did for the whole franchise, because he of course was the face of it, really, apart from maybe Vin Diesel. But who was in more movies at this point? Paul Walker was in more movies at this point, technically.
Yes.
Unless you want to count Vin Diesel's cameo in Tokyo Drift.
And we got another set of wonderful quotable lines when Shaw and Dom are having their big fight in the parking garage roof.
Yes.
And it calls back to a line about street fighting. And yeah, he pulls out like his big wrench that you've heard stories that he like beat up a guy with a giant torque wrench. He pulls out his wrenches because it's a street fight. And he says, "Oh, you thought this was going to be a street fight? Damn right it is." And then, oh my gosh, and then the last line, like, "Oh, the thing about a street fight is the street always wins." And then he like stomps or something, and the whole freaking parking garage collapses, and then he's practically dead. What did you think of that whole reviving him, bringing back to life? Because yeah, they do set up throughout the story that there's something going on with like Letty is feeling bad because she's not remembering anything, and she's feeling like it's not fair. She's not being fair to him because she can't remember anything, and he's being so patient with her, and she's getting frustrated that she's maybe not being enough for him because she's not remembering things. So that's kind of a through line that they set up throughout the story. And then at the end, when the whole parking garage collapses and Dom is seemingly dead and she starts talking to him. What did you think of all of that?
Yeah.
The whole Letty Dom love story.
I like the whole Letty Dom love story. And I overpronounced my T's there because sometimes I can say like Letty, which sounds weird on a podcast. So I'm just going to say Letty or Michelle Rodriguez. But no, I like their whole love story, to be honest with you. And I like that she's almost starting to not remember more, but she's becoming who she was before. She's getting more used to what she used to be like, even though she obviously doesn't really know.
But then at the end, in that moment, she does say she remembers everything and remembers that they actually did get married.
Well, yeah, that is, because she has that little, there's that little flashy.
Yeah, and she says it all came rushing back, and she remembers everything. I guess they did get married before he left her in 4, right? Before she got supposedly killed. So they got married when they were in, the Dominican Republic? Is that where they were?
Yes. Yeah.
So they got married then, and then he left. And then all that stuff happened with the cartel and Braga, and she supposedly was left for dead. Yes.
Exactly. Boom. We've got it.
Yeah.
We've actually figured out the plot.
There's just a lot to unpack. And
there is.
What did you think of that whole final set piece? Just Ramsey switching cars, and then freaking Hobbs saying Daddy's got to go to work and just busting out of his cast.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
shooting
quite
at helicopters, and he is the damn cavalry.
I mean, I'm not.
Woman, I am the damn cavalry.
I'm not.
Isn't that what he says?
I don't know what he says. I'm going to take your word for it.
I just love in this series when he says, boy.
I'm not too sure how easy it is to literally muscle your way out of a plaster cast on your arm. Just by seemingly tensing your own arm. He just manages to burst out of his cast.
I mean, he is a big old man.
I mean, yeah, but...
He is the goddamn cavalry.
Well,
woman.
He is. He is. And yeah, again, it's a little over the top, but I was expecting that.
Was it nice to see he had a daughter?
Yeah, I like that Hobbs is somewhat of a family man as well.
Which we get more of in 8.
We do get more of in 8.
I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to cover in 7?
Not really, I don't think. No, I think we've probably broke down all that we need to do about 7. I really liked 7. After seeing 7, I would put it sort of was it interchangeable with 4? Or maybe 5, 5, 6, 7 maybe. 5, 6, 7, 4 would be my top 4. after seeing 7, I think.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of the ending, like I said, was really ended kind of beautifully.
Yes.
And surprisingly
Very
so
well
for
handled.
a stupid Fast and Furious movie. Even though I am admittedly a fan of these now. But
are you a part of the family?
I suppose I am part of the family. Yes. You have to say it like that, though, don't you? Family.
Yes.
Family. Family. Hey, are you part of the family? Yeah. Okay. Hey, Brian.
Okay.
My Vin Diesel's getting a little bit better.
I'm sorry, people.
Well, earlier on, when we were doing this stuff, my Vin Diesel sounded like Stallone, and I don't think that sounded like Stallone.
Oh, yeah, it did.
I think that
Go
sounded...
back and listen. Go back and listen.
I think
it has much improved.
that sounded way more like Vin Diesel this time. So I'm proud of myself.
Good job, Morgan.
But yeah, I liked 7 as well. Like I said, I think it would have almost impacted me more if I'd have seen it and been a fan of these movies upon its release, when Paul Walker did sadly pass away. So I guess it's appropriate for me to say now, rest in peace, Paul Walker, even though I'm so many years late. I apologise, Paul.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. Tell you what it's too late for. It's too late for the fate of the furious. That didn't make any sense. I just wanted to rhyme some.
It's not too late for the fate of the furious.
Jeannine, the fate of the furious, the 8th movie, currently the last movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. Still going to be the last movie in the main Fast and Furious franchise until next year.
Not quite. I mean, yes, when they are filming now 9.
Yeah.
As we speak. So.
Yeah.
But we got some heavy hitters actors in this one.
We did, and I liked that about. First of all, I really did like that about number 8.
We got some surprises.
There's plenty of surprises. But I think what I almost... Again, I thought 7 felt a little bit different to the others, but still had enough Fast and Furious enough good Fast and Furious elements in there. This one, obviously with Paul Walker not being there, is it F. Gary Gray directs it?
Yes. So do you feel like they kind of just overcompensated without Paul, with just like some insane action to kind of like...
I mean, maybe, but it also feels somewhat not like a Fast and Furious movie in parts. And, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just a little unexpected. The whole... I mean... I say that. The start in Cuba is the actual first street race we've seen in ages.
In a long time, yeah. A pure street race.
Which is very Fast and Furious. So maybe I'm wrong in saying that original statement.
And how did you feel about that street fight? Or street fight. I'm just still thinking about damn right it is.
Yeah, that street race.
Street race.
Was
how did you feel about that?
It was the first time I've preferred somebody else's car to the car that Dom Toretto was driving.
Well, because he was driving that piece of crap that somehow managed to win the race even though it was burning on fire.
Yeah. I mean, I really did like the Cuban dude's car. I liked his car a lot. And you know me, I always enjoy Dom Toretto's cars because they're always nice. And the American muscle, as they are apparently called. I don't know anything about cars. It's true. But yeah,
Well,
I'm
think you'd be
not
an expert
sure.
after watching 8 Fast and Furious movies.
No, I don't think so. Jeannine, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all that you are able to drive a car in reverse at that speed while the engine is burning on fire.
Well, that's just making it go faster,
And
apparently.
You yourself are nearly on fire, and you are somehow able to win a street race.
And I'm pretty sure he's wearing, like, those Timberland boots that have, like, big, thick rubber soles.
Which you cannot drive in.
That's all he wears is white jeans and Timberland boots.
He does.
And a wife beater tank top.
I will say this about Vin Diesel. He manages to wear the whitest of white clothes. They are so bright white.
Yes, and they manage to stay that way, even though craziness is happening.
Yeah. He can get as dirty as he wants, and he'll step out of the car, and his clothes will be shimmering in the sunlight.
So we needed that scene, apparently, to set up something a little bit later in the story. But as he's walking home from a very busy shopping day of buying a baguette and a rose, he runs into...
I mean,
he runs in.
That sounds like a good day out at the grocery store to me. Is a baguette and a rose.
Like, that looks like literally all he has in that goddamn bag is a baguette and a rose. Like, you're not in France, you're in Cuba.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny.
But on his way home from his very big shopping day, he runs into the villain of this film, Charlize Theron, that's how you really pronounce it, is Theron.
Throne.
Yes, her character, Cypher.
Who may be the best villain in the whole franchise.
Yeah, it must be the dreadlocks.
I mean, it is the dreadlocks.
Well, it must be her culturally appropriated dreadlock.
I mean, it is white people dreadlocks, and nobody should be a fan of white people dreadlocks. Terrible, terrible choice. It's a choice. It's a terrible choice.
So she shows him something that makes him end up betraying the whole team.
Yeah. Which, I mean, at the start I was absolutely not about. I was thinking, oh, what? Where's this come from? This seems very sudden. Why would Dom Toretto just betray his family so quickly and for seemingly little reason? You know, we do get the reason. So when you
found out, yes. So what did you think of the reason?
The reason is probably the only thing that would have made me believe he would do such a thing at the beginning of the movie. Which, Elena is there, captured, seemingly by Cypher, with Baby Toretto. Yeah.
Yes, so apparently she was pregnant when she got blown out that window. But the rock broke her fall, so baby's okay.
Baby Toretto, who was conceived when Letty was still apparently dead.
Yes.
So that shows us that the Fast and Furious movies, as a timeline, is actually quite small.
Yeah.
It's not the longest. It's not as long as the franchise itself. It's only it's seemingly a few years long.
Yeah, I don't think they really... Well, I think after everything had to kind of come before Tokyo Drift, which was like 7 years behind everything, I feel like they kind of just said, okay, we're not really going to talk about what time this is actually taking place since we already kind of fucked all that shit up. So I think they just took the easy way out and didn't really put a time stamp on anything.
But, I mean, that must mean that, though, from
so you're just supposed to assume from, when she breaks up with him and Letty is alive.
Yeah.
like right after I think Brian and Mia's first child is born and all of that.
Is that in 5 or is it the start of
That's
6?
Start of 6, yeah.
So from the start of 6 until 8 is maybe a year.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense because that kid is maybe like...
Yeah, a few... 5 months
months
old or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, so Cypher has got baby Toretto and Elena. We don't...
Along with her minion, Tormund.
I mean, yes, Tormund is in the movie, Christopher Hivju, who is sadly underutilized and resorted to the one-line henchman role.
And quickly dispatched. And
I was not a fan of that. You promised me that Tormund was in the movies later on. He says about 3 words.
Okay, well, what do you prefer? Do you prefer Tormund in this movie or Bronn in John Wick Chapter 3? Doing that ridiculous what the fuck accent.
No, absolutely. I would rather see Christopher Hivju in this movie. Because what the hell Jerome Flynn was doing in John Wick 3 was something else.
That accent was some sloppy shit. Like, I don't even know what the accent was supposed to be. Like, oh no.
I had in fact forgotten about it until right just now. So thank you very much for that, Jeannine.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
But yeah. He is in the movie, and I liked that.
You would rank her as the best villain of the 8 movies?
I think so. I think the only... I mean, depending on if you even consider Deckard Shaw a villain anymore. Because he is somewhat a member of the team, even though he killed Han, goddammit, and you're just gonna forgive him for that.
And even Owen, like Owen comes and helps out too.
Owen, yeah, who, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't have anywhere near as scarred enough face.
As much hamburger face as he should have.
Owen's a great villain. I'd maybe put Cypher up there with Owen and Braga.
Okay.
As the top villains of the franchise, mainly due to Charlize Theron, though. It's clear that she's just on a little bit of another level.
Acting level of the other actors, I would say.
Yeah.
But you know who was on the opposite end of that acting spectrum?
Who? Who was that?
Scott Eastwood. He lucky he pretty, 'cause he was not good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who was telling Scott Eastwood to deliver his lines that way.
Like, was he supposed to kind of be the Paul Walker replacement? Like,
oh God, please no. Please don't let that continue.
Blonde American boy, like, was that what he was supposed to do? Was that the role he was kind of supposed to substitute? Like,
no, he was supposed to be Kurt Russell's little weaselly sidekick.
Yeah.
That's what he was supposed to. He was supposed to be the guy that Kurt Russell can kick.
Well, he got his ass kicked by The Rock when he tried to bring up his daughter.
I mean, that's true. He did do that. Speaking of The Rock and his daughter, you got a lovely scene of Hobbs coaching football.
Yeah. And the soccer team, the Red Dragons. Yeah, Red Dragon.
And having his team do a haka at the start,
yes.
And then the other team refusing to play.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't want to play anymore now.
And then the guy coming and trying to tell him like important information about the mission. He's like, "Go away with all that government bullshit." Like,
I'm trying to coach my team. I love it. So that was really fun. I've kind of liked Hobbs more and more since 5.
Yes, he's great. He's definitely fits in this series well. He's a great addition, especially when he says "boy."
I almost like him the best in 8.
See, so then sounds like you're very excited to see him in his spinoff.
Yeah.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Sure. Obviously.
Which we get nice little tastes of Hobbs and Shaw when, Dom betrays Hobbs. He runs into his car and then he's stuck and he gets arrested.
Yeah.
And Mr. Nobody offers to get him out of jail or this, high-tech prison that Shaw is locked in. And he says, nope, I'll handle this myself. And, of course, they put him in the cell right across from Shaw, and they have some fun little banter.
Yeah.
And, what did you think of all of that?
I mean, that's fun.
The whole escape sequence was really fun.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously up to the, Hobbs rings Dom up for the job of getting that EMP, whatever it is. I don't know terms of things. That's where Dom betrays them for Cypher, and everybody's really upset about it. The whole team, everybody's like, what? Dom wouldn't do this. It's all about family. Not anymore. Well, it is technically still about family. It's just different type of family.
Yes.
So Dom can still say that family's the most important thing.
He can.
But yeah, then Hobbs goes to prison because of... why does he go to prison?
Because Dom crashed into his car and the people that they stole the EMP from were the cops or whatever. The authorities were coming, and since he was all crashed and trapped in his car, he couldn't get away. So he told the rest of them, Dom betrayed us. Go away. Don't come back for me. I'll be fine.
Yes,
and then they arrest him. And Mr. Nobody and Mr. Nobody Jr. try to get him out of. Say, hey, we'll get you out, but he's like, no, I'll handle this myself.
Yeah.
And
then
and all of that.
Yeah, Shaw's there. They have they do kind of have really good chemistry. It's kind of easy to see why a spin-off would have been greenlit.
So then
for them to
they try to make it work out to where once Hobbs actually does get out, they have Shaw join their team.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone's like, oh, hell no, we ain't trying to work with him. Oh, hell no. Meow, meow. And nobody wants to work with him.
I mean, this is all Mr. Nobody's doing.
Yes. But then they give him a little redemptive moment where Cypher does break into the facility where they're at. And a bomb thing's about to go off. And Deckard Shaw jumps to save Ramsey.
Yeah. Deckard Shaw throughout 8 sort of becomes more friendly with everyone.
Yes, I mean, he had that whole scene on the plane. I think that was a big thing fans really loved, was that whole scene with the baby.
Yeah, that's
tasked to save the baby.
More towards the end, and we'll certainly get to the end of this movie. But yeah. Yeah, I like Deckard's integration with everybody because it does make for some very funny stuff as well, with everybody just going back and forth. And obviously Dwayne Johnson's a very quick-witted person, and he's coming back at people, whether it is Shaw, and I expect a lot of that in Hobbs and Shaw. It's just very sort of quick comebacks from The Rock and Statham looking all confused and I'm just gonna kick you and that sort of stuff. But he's very entertaining.
But did they do enough for you to suspend the fact that he killed Han, but now we're working with him? Do you think that they did enough for you to kind of just be like, okay?
I don't think they mentioned Han at all.
Well, they don't specifically, but of course the whole team is like, oh hell no, we don't want to work with him. But do you think they did enough to kind of redeem him enough for them to for it to even be plausible for them to work with him?
Honestly, no. But I just sort of went with it because I would have liked to seen talking about Han. I would have liked to seen of that. I would have liked a bit of an explanation. And I
think they also try to do stuff like the reason he's doing this is because Cypher corrupted his brother or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, Cypher's all
So he's doing it for his family.
Yeah.
So I think they tried to add that to kind of redeem him in ways, and then the whole saving Ramsey when that bomb goes off.
Definitely. And you have to say, he gets my points for saving Ramsey for sure.
Of course.
Sorry, I'll stop going on about that.
And then we're in New York City, and we get that whole thing where they have to get some other device from some like Russian.
There's always a device.
Politician. I don't know. Yeah. And so she does the whole thing where she hacks into all the cars that have like those chips in them or whatever, and makes them all drive. And
I mean, no, it's Cypher. Cypher does that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was odd. I didn't too much care for let's hack into all the cars and make them drive and block off so we can go in and get this thing
from this guy. And then they all like harpoon Dom like he's Moby Dick in the streets of New York.
They do. And also, where's the traffic?
Yeah.
This is New York.
This is New York.
This is New York City.
But no, we're gonna like lock off this whole open area so you can do this Moby Dom scene. And
Moby Dom. They do harpoon him. So, it's fair enough. Yeah, I think that was probably my least favourite part of the movie of 8, to be honest with you. Was the kind of middle. I really like the beginning in Cuba and meeting Cypher and all that stuff and all the stuff with Hobbs. And then all the prison stuff. And like we said, the prison breakout is great.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite sequence.
That's really good. I want
so
all
fun.
of that in Hobbs and Shaw.
Yes. Like, just the fight that they do, like, the stunts that they do are really cool. Statham looks great. The Rock looks great. Like, and it's funny. There's little funny moments. And, that whole sequence was probably my favorite in the whole movie.
I would agree. I really, really liked that prison breakout. And then right at the end, Mr. Nobody comes in. Kurt Russell comes in. Oh, that didn't take as long as I thought it would.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just enjoy seeing Kurt Russell's face because I had literally no idea he was in these movies. And I just like getting reminded that he is in these movies.
Yes, and like no matter what he does, he's always like doing so good at it. Like he's just playing it up. He knows what kind of movie he's in and he's just having fun.
He always has fun.
He's one of the few actors that no matter like if it's a piece of crap or if it's like something really great, you can see that he's having fun with it and he's always delivering.
Always has fun. Always has fun, Kurt Russell. And I love that. And then, yeah, Scott Eastwood's there again being all douchey.
Oh, my God. Terribly. Oh, my God. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. Like I said, you lucky, you pretty.
I think we've given up with Scott Eastwood, even though he... Well, yeah, they go to New York and there's that big whole bunker type thing with all those cars.
Yeah.
They try a little bit of redemption for Scott Eastwood when he just says he smashes that key box and they say, "Oh, just get whatever car you want," and we're all supposed to go, "Yay, Scott Eastwood!"
Yay, Scott Eastwood! You've loosened up. You're awesome. No,
and we just don't. Oh no, we don't do that at all, really.
Well, let's talk about another actor who actually wanted to be in this movie.
Okay.
Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren, who is barely in the movie, to be fair. As
Mama Shaw.
She does play Mama Shaw. She does play Jason Statham and Luke Evans' mother.
Who is a part of an elaborate plan that Dom has devised in order to stop Cypher and be free from her clutches.
Yeah, because Dom... before Helen Mirren, speaking of that, Vin Diesel's acting has gotten so much better.
You sound so proud of him.
I am kind of proud of him. It's it's weird because in the Fate of the Furious, which isn't obviously the most revered Fast and Furious movie, this might actually be Vin Diesel's personal best performance in the whole franchise.
Sounds so impressed.
Well, it's just because he's got actual sort of emotional stuff to do with his son and dealing with trying to get them out of Cypher's capture, clutches, claw, whatever you want to say. But, like, he's crying, he's getting legit emotional. I mean, obviously his voice still sounds the same no matter what emotion he's portraying. I feel like Vin Diesel could be overjoyed or suicidal and he'd still sound like, hey guys, yeah, we're just gonna do this now, yeah.
Okay, that sounded like kind of Stallone again, but...
I'm getting worse. To be honest, I wasn't pleased with that. But
speaking of accents...
Speaking of accents, yes.
You were not a fan of Helen Mirren.
No.
Departure from her regular British accent to a Cockney British accent so she could sound more like Jason Statham.
It didn't sound natural in the slightest way.
No, it didn't. And for me, like someone who like doesn't hear these accents all the time like you do, it still didn't sound natural to me.
No.
It sounded like she was doing an impersonation of my cocaine or something.
It sounded like she was in some sort of really amateur production of Oliver.
Mary Poppins.
Of more Mary
Poppins. Stepping time.
It was, sorry, Helen Mirren. Everybody loves you. You're great, but that was...
And I love the fact that she asked to be in these movies because she knew how much fun it would be. So I appreciate that, and that makes me love her even more. But yeah, like, for someone who doesn't hear these accents all the time, if I can hear that it doesn't feel natural, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. But she tried.
I liked seeing her.
She had fun.
She did have fun.
Yeah.
I liked seeing her, for sure.
So I'm sure we will see her in Hobbs and Shaw.
Well, she was in the trailer.
She was in the trailer, and she has her daughter now in this movie, so...
The Shaw family are taking over.
Yeah. And the Hobbs family, too, apparently.
Well, yeah.
We'll see some more Haka.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. It's all about family. So many families.
Yes.
I want to see Roman Pierce's family. Ooh, don't tell Tyrese that. He'll get angry again. He'll start making videos again.
Sad crying videos that how they were supposed to be a family. Oh, God.
I'm sorry, Tyrese. To be frank, I would love to see a Roman Pierce spin-off. I really would. I think it'd be fantastic. I would like to see a sitcom starring Roman Pierce.
And what would it be called?
It would be called That's So Roman.
What? I like it. Green lighted.
It would be called That's So Roman, and it would be a laugh track sitcom, a multicam laugh track sitcom, starring Tyrese.
This just went from Mission Impossible to Mission and Frickin' Sanity.
And then everybody goes, ah. Yes. And it would be the greatest multicam sitcom of all time. And it would be set in the Fast and Furious franchise. Whenever there's a cameo by Ludacris or someone, they always get the applause when he opens the door.
Yeah.
And it's just the most basic of shows, but it would just really work. So I'm down for that. I will make that with you, Tyrese, if you are willing to fund the whole thing, because I
have no money.
Because I am unwilling to fund the whole thing. And also unable.
That's so Roman. Let's make it happen.
That's so
That's so Roman.
That's so Roman. I'm very much down for That's So Roman. Is that not just the perfect title?
Yes, it's great. And you usually suck at titles, so I'm very impressed.
I always am the worst title creator in the history of title creators. But yeah, that's good. I like that.
Oh yeah, we got the little the bugs from A Bug's Life, the little Beatles twins come back.
We did, just for a little tiny bit.
Just for a little bit. You know, he has to do a little switcheroo and, like, hide himself from the camera so he can talk to Mama Shaw and make his little plan. And they help him do that for, like, 2 seconds.
I don't even know their names, Jeannine, but they're the two members of the team in 5 and 6 who both speak Spanish and don't really do a lot other than just sort of mess about with each other.
Yeah.
And they are.
But it was nice to see them nonetheless.
Oh, yeah.
So let's get into, like, this huge Fast and Furious on ice finale.
To begin to wrap up, fear of going for way too long, we'll talk about the most absurd finale of all finales in the history of Fast and Furious, at least, if not most action movies I've ever seen.
So we're going to, what, Russia?
Russia, yes, it's like far...
Where it's
far Russia.
Frozen enough that you're driving on snow and solid ice.
Yeah.
But all I need is a tank top and a leather jacket, Letty. Okay. That's fine. That works.
Yes, of course, Roman is the only person who is dressed fully appropriately in a hat, gloves, and a coat. Hobbs,
because from what I heard, he was actually the only one who was, like, there on location in that really cold place wherever they filmed. Nobody else was really there.
Even more of a reason for Tyrese to be annoyed.
Yes.
Team Tyrese. Although, speaking of Hobbs is also dressed appropriately. He's at least wearing a coat and a pair of gloves.
But yeah, like, Letty's literally wearing fingerless gloves, a leather jacket, and a tank top with her tatties all out. Like, girl, you are in the frozen motherfucking tundra. And you're wearing a fucking tank top with your tatties all out. And a leather jacket. And your gloves are fingerless, so your fingers are all out too. Like,
it doesn't really work, does it?
No. Just because you got a little suede on your jacket, like, that's supposed to keep you warm.
Suede, the warmest material. It is known.
But yes, that's one of the smaller issues with this big finale.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just very overblown and ridiculous. Long driving on a big, snowy, frozen thing.
And they've not even got their winter tires on.
Trying to stop Cypher from activating a submarine.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Well, the submarine... I truly don't even know what Cypher was trying to do.
I think she was trying to, like, get access to, like, have a nuclear device or some kind of device that, like, she could get people to do whatever she wanted.
Yeah, it was definitely something to do with nuclear missiles or something.
Yeah, and if she had control of that, then she could make people do whatever she wanted.
But yeah, there's a submarine, and for somehow the submarine is able to blast through ice. Yeah. I don't think that's possible. I also don't think it's possible to drive a car at that speed on ice, at least without proper tires.
Well, they did for long lengths of time, and then the submarine starts breaking through the ice as they're driving on it.
Yeah,
and
there's also tanks
kills
involved.
Tormund. Yes, Dom kills Tormund.
Dom does
he
kill
joins
Tormund.
the crew. He has Jason Statham come on the plane with Owen, and they get into the plane and fight all the henchmen, and then Deckard is charged with getting the baby, and he has a fun little scene where he's, like, kind of pushing the baby's carrier around while he's fighting guys, and he puts little headphones on him so he can't hear all the carnage and the gunshots, and it's a cute little scene where he's making little faces at him, and it's very cute.
That is a really good scene, actually. That is likable Jason Statham. Yes. That is fully likable Jason Statham.
I feel like that whole sequence was like, okay, we want to use this guy again. We want him to be good now. So how do we redeem him? Let's have him be cute and save a baby.
Yeah, and I mean, Owen does come back, but Owen kind of doesn't do a great deal.
No, he just kind of tells the pilot, like, he beats up a couple guys and then says, "Hey, pilot, you do this."
He's just there to say, "Hey, look, we got Owen back.
Remember me?
Owen? He was evil."
And then
yeah.
Cypher ends up getting away, which I think she's the only villain to have gotten away.
No, yeah, no villain
So
ever has
she'll
gotten.
be back.
No villain ever has gotten away in the Fast and Furious movies, apart from all
So
of them.
she'll be back.
All of them
So
get
who knows,
away.
maybe Hobbs and Shaw will have like a post credits or a mid credits where like you see Cypher or something.
Quite
and that'll
possibly.
lead into 9.
Look, quite possibly. I fully expect her to turn up in some form in 9.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Fully
it's like,
expect
yeah, why would
that.
they go to the trouble of having her get away if they weren't going to like use her later?
Yeah, but no, the ending, to try and break it down fully would be too ridiculous, because it is way too ridiculous, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it to a point, but the actual action, I enjoyed the character stuff perfectly fine, as I always do with the team. But the actual action stuff was just way too far.
Yeah, way too far-fetched. Like, which some of it, it's like, of course, you can kind of suspend disbelief and just kind of have fun with it, but this sequence was a little ridiculous.
And I mean...
like, I think he, like, drives his car over the ice that's breaking from the submarine coming up, and then he, like, jumps out of his car, which he seems to do a lot. Like, he jumps out of moving cars a lot.
Oh, a lot of people do that. And there's the stuff
something
with...
blows up, and there's, like, fire, and then all the cars kind of rally around him to protect him.
Which is the stupidest thing. I mean, somehow all the cars instantly just perfectly form a circle around Dom, who, by the way, is also not dressed appropriately for the location at all. Even though, again, I do really like the car that Dom's driving, because it's, it's a proper Dom car. And then it blows up, and then for some reason, Dom crouched down in the snow, outside, surrounded by cars, and then something blows up right next to him, and he's apparently protected by the cars. Now, that's not how fire works.
But Morgan,
What?
that's how family works.
Look, it might be how family works. It might be how family works. But I'm pretty sure that if you are outside, regardless of what's in front of you, you are getting blown up by that fire. I'm sorry, Dom. That's it.
The power of family.
The power of
no,
family.
It's no contest against fire.
Oh God. So that was kind of the icing on the cake of the nonsense of the finale of the fate and of the fate of the Furious. And then they go back to New York with Baby Toretto and everybody else. Deckard Shaw is kind of, Dom shakes Shaw's hand. It's kind of, we're cool. It's kind of a similar situation to with Hobbs at the end of 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they have the barbecue.
Family dinner.
Family
Hobbs
dinner.
decides to retire so he could be with his daughter.
Which again is nice. Daddy's coming home, he says. Which is...
Because
he
would always say, Daddy's got to go to work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's nice. I like Hobbs stuff, Hobbs family stuff. It's all about family. And then they have the naming ceremony, which is what I'm going to call it. Because Baby Toretto only has a middle name that Elena gave him before Elena died.
But she said his father should name him. And what does his father name him? Morgan?
His father names him Brian. Yes.
Very nice.
Which is very nice. And apparently you told me that people were saying he should have been named Paul because Brian isn't the one that's dead. Paul Walker is. But, like, that wouldn't make sense. It makes way more sense for me to call him Brian.
Yeah.
So I just think that's perfect. And that was a really sweet. I got all,
Meow.
I got all heartwarmy.
Yeah.
And that was nice, and I liked that.
So the most important question.
Yes.
Who will Ramsey choose?
Which is by far the most important question.
Right.
Because this has been going on for 2 movies now.
Yes.
Roman and Tej's trying and failing miserably to flirt with Natalie Emmanuel, and although
actually I forgot to say in 7 we got to see Tej like actually doing a little fighting, and he can fight and Roman can't, so
that's true. That's true. I do like Ludacris in these movies.
Yeah,
I really do. I feel like we've barely talked about him throughout the whole series. I really do like him.
we did. I mean, except that how much you missed his afro.
Except how much I did miss his afro. Yeah.
But yes, I forgot. He got a little fight scene. I think they'd have more in common. They're both hackers.
Yeah. But
Roman got his ass beat.
you asked the question. You asked the most important question, Jeannine. And well, what's her last name?
I loved how she turned that around on them. She's like, I do like you both, but can you just answer one question for me? Yeah, that was pretty smart.
What's my last name? They don't. They don't know that. They don't know that. Will they know it in 9? Probably not.
We'll see.
We'll see though. I want this to continue though. I fully want this little silly subplot to continue over who gets over who. Yeah. Oh, it's perfect.
Gets Ramsey.
It is perfect. And I love the fact that she completely turned it around on them as well. That was great. That was great. Also,
so now that we've talked about 8, where does it fit into your little rankings?
I would say interchangeable with 4, right in the middle.
Okay.
I liked it more than the first 3.
5 was your favorite?
5 was my favourite. 6 is behind that. 7 is behind that. And then it's 4/8. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah. So there you go.
But the series as a whole, you were kind of dreading it, and now that you've seen all of the movies, how do you feel about the Fast and the Furious? Are you a fan?
I admittedly am a fan. I imagine we will have more of a full series wrap-up next week after we finish the bonus episode, which of course will be on Hobbs and Shaw, which comes out this very weekend. Because that's just how we like to time stuff so perfectly on this show, don't we, Jeannine?
Yeah, we do.
And we will be talking about Hobbs and Shaw on the show next Wednesday. So, yay. But yes, admittedly, I was dreading it. You win, Jeannine, as you always seem to.
See, just trust me. Just put a little faith in me, put a little trust in me, and I will not steer you wrong.
I can call myself a fan of the Fast and Furious movies. And it says a lot that I was getting heartwarmy about naming baby Toretto Brian, which is something I would never, ever, ever think that I would have ever gotten heartwarmy about.
See, because you're invested in these characters. That's why.
And I have been since the start.
And you're invested in the family.
I still think my Vin Diesel impression is better than your Vin Diesel impression.
I think it is. Well, because I can't get that low and growly. Blah, blah, blah. I am Groot. Yeah, no.
I am Groot. I'm not going to try again because I was happy with my first try in this episode and unhappy with my second one. So what I'm just going to say, that'll do it for another episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen. We've been talking Furious 7 and the fate of the Furious, the two most nonsense movies in the Fast and Furious so far. But I still liked them for what they were. Absolutely. Next week, it is the bonus wrap-up episode of this series on Hobbs and Shaw. Jeannine, what have you got going on until then? What's going on? Well, not until then, but, in general, yay, plug some stuff, yay.
You can see me on the Movie Trivia Schmodown as Jeannine the Machine. I will be on the next episode of It's a Wonderful Podcast.
You certainly will.
The flagship show on this feed. I don't know if I can share what we'll be discussing just yet, but...
Well, go for it, yeah.
We'll be talking about Sabrina.
Sabrina, which is the 1954 Audrey Hepburn, Humphrey Bogart, William Holden movie.
Yes, and maybe you'll see a reappearance of Lionel.
Lionel Richie.
Baby girl, yeah. You'll have to go back to the Bishop's Wife episode to know what I'm talking about of It's a Wonderful Podcast. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jeannine Dubeen. You can check out my tea shop and get some It's a Wonderful Podcast / Morgan Hasn't Seen merch on my tea shop, teepublic.com, G9 Design. And check out my Patreon at Jeannine LC and see what fun little things I got going on over there.
And you always forget one, Machine Mondays on TriviaSD.com.
Machine Mondays, yes. My weekly article on Trivia SD where I talk about Schmodown-related topics.
Yay. Guys, you can find me on It's a Wonderful Podcast, which is the other show, all over this feed. Always talking about fun, older movies over there. And you can also now find me on any Fast and Furious fan page. But not any of them. That's probably a little bit extreme. But I am definitely a fan of these movies now. You can find me on Twitter at the Purple Don with a 3 instead of the E in the... Because, Jeannine...
3 is the magic number.
Yes. Or on Instagram at just the Purple Dawn. Find the show on Twitter at It's a Wonderful One to see all the updates for the main show, It's a Wonderful Podcast, and this show, Morgan Hasn't Seen, all go up there. Use the hashtags, hashtag Morgan Hasn't Seen, hashtag It's a Wonderful One, to talk to us about this and tell me how proud of me you are. Does that make sense? I've lost the plot. That doesn't make sense. My words got jumbled. Oh no.
They'll be as proud of you as you are of Vin Diesel.
Yes.
Becoming a better actor.
A much better actor. Yes. That's what I was trying to say. But yes, talk to us about the movies we discuss on this because it's a lot of fun. And find the show on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Castbox, Google Podcasts, various other places that you can find them. And leave those 5-star rating reviews on the Apple Podcast because it really helps and it's so great, yay. But that's going to do it for another episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen. It's been a long one, but we don't mind it going long sometimes. Maybe not all the time. No. It certainly won't be this long next week because we do only have one movie. The reason they have been long is because we have talking about 2 movies. We have been having to do 2 movies for this Fast and Furious because there's so damn many of them, Jeannine. So damn many of them. But
you liked them.
But I did like them, absolutely. But yeah, until next time, guys. I guess until Friday for both of us because we're both on It's a Wonderful Podcast.
Yes.
Talking Sabrina. Let's do it, Jeannine. Bye.
Bye.